Did you know if you start out with a flawed premise as the foundation for your belief system, and of course nobody has their beliefs, and I'm not talking about religion here or metaphysics at all, I'm talking about a new type of religion. It's called science. People love to use the word science as if it was some sort of new religion. But if you actually build, and this is just one branch of science, however, all of them are kind of the same. They're filled with mathematicians rather than truth seekers, which is the original denotation and connotation of a scientist. It's a truth seeker. But scientists are not truth seekers anymore. They're mathematicians, fundamentally. And in the attributional thereof, they are atomists. I hope you know what an atomist is. But if you actually build a house, like you got all this really fancy timbers and the finest Persian marble and everything, but you build a foundation with faulty substrate. There's that old saying about building your house upon the sand. Doesn't matter how nice the house is, it's doomed, right? The entire, I don't know if you know this or not, you go look it up. This is not my opinion, it's a fact. The entire cult of quantum, which is what I love to call the cult of bumping particles, is based upon a house built upon a sand foundation. That sand foundation of quantum, or as the fool Einstein called it, das Lichtquant, is the premise of that they know what the hell light is and what's going on there. The wave-particle duality, and then applying that to the double-slit experiment. Well, wave-particle duality is a triple-headed nightmare. A wave is not a thing. Waves don't exist. Sure they do. This is what the idiot Einstein... When I say Einstein is an idiot, what I'm actually doing is quoting Nikola Tesla. There's a lot of people that actually attack me for saying, what do you mean Einstein's an idiot? You're an idiot, you fat, bald, tattooed It's like, no, I'm actually quoting Nikola Tesla, who called Einstein a fuzzy-haired crackpot and an idiot, which he is. The double-slit experiment, the notion or the premise thereof as the foundation of quantum, that light is a wave-particle duality. And to quote Einstein, light is neither particle nor wave, but taken together they explain light. It's actually a paraphrase of what he says. I've got the exact quote. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's exactly it, roundabout. But a wave is not a thing. Waves don't exist. If you actually had someone talking about seeing anger out on the street, man, I was out in the street, and I just saw anger. It's like, who was angry? No, I saw anger. What if someone told you, your best friend, and they put their hand on your shoulder? Man, I was at the grocery store, and all of a sudden, right before me, there was happiness. Oh, what do you mean? You were happy? No, I saw happiness. What do you mean? Who was happy? No, happy. This is ridiculous. A wave is not a thing. A wave is an attribute of something else. There's no such thing as a wave-particle duality. Let's actually dissect that again further still and talk about a particle. Of course, light is not a particle. It's absolutely, the notion of a photon is purely conceptual. It has absolutely no basis in reality. There's no such thing as a photon particle. Light, or transverse electrical magnetism, is of course a coaxial circuit, transverse electromagnetic, around a longitudinal pulse perturbation. I don't know if you know what a coaxial circuit looks like, or you've ever seen the cross-section of a coax cable that actually feeds your TV set, and you've got coax cable running all throughout your damn house. It's a coaxial circuit. It cannot be a particle. The notion that light is particle is atomistic. It has no basis in reality, is purely conceptual. As far as a duality is a fundamental duplicity or inherent self-canceling contradiction. There's no such thing in nature, or natura naturans, or that of the cosmos nuitos, as the Greeks would call it, as well as the cosmos esthetos. There are no dualities in nature. So there's no such thing as a wave-particle duality. Is completely absurd. Everything is fields, and fields are not particles. Nor does light travel. If you actually ever want to completely brain fart a PhD physicist, ask him how light speeds back up after it leaves glass without breaking the law of conservation of energy. Actually, if you Google, do an internet search, you'll actually see 10,000, well, there's actually fundamentally only 4 different explanations for light speeding back. Well, it bounds off of the glass. Depending on the type of glass and the medium thereof, and the dielectric permittivity of the glass, light slows down on average about 30% as it enters glass, but it's not entering, it's actually a field perturbation. Everything is capacitance, resistance, magnetic permeability, and dielectric permittivity. They'll actually say that glass is bouncing off of the light is bouncing off the glass that actually leaves glass. And of course, this is ridiculous. This again, of course, presumes that there is a break in the fundamental law of conservation of energy, that from nowhere light will manifest energy to speed back up. The only correct explanation of light, of course, is that it is an ether perturbation. No different than sound waves. Well, what is sound waves? Of course, they are perturbations or vibrations in the air. I tell you 70% nitrogen and oxygen. Let's just say air, right? We don't have to define it further by talking about nitrogen and oxygen. The so-called speed of sound, of course, is the maximum rate of propagation of that perturbation of the sound, i.e. the vibration of the air. And of course that also changes, whether the air is really cold or really warm or dense, whether it's at sea level, but I mean those are just mere nuances. But light's not a speed at all. There's no such thing as a speed of light. There's no such thing as breaking the speed of light. There's no such thing as a barrier, i.e. the speed of light. It is a rate of induction of any transverse medium field perturbation that it cannot propagate, and it is not actually moving. We're talking about propagation in the ultimate sense of the rate of induction of light, faster than the so-called speed of light. This was actually discovered by Henri Poincaré, which Einstein actually, everything you think Einstein had a brilliant supposition thereof, was actually stolen by Einstein from Henri Poincaré. There's actually 4 books on that particular fact. But all these scientists engage in attribute reification because they've never defined a field. If you ever really want to mind screw a PhD physicist, that's a PhD in particle physics, ask Leonard Susskind. He's the current living pope, if you will, of quantum physics. Leonard Susskind, look him up. PhD of particle physics, Leonard Susskind. Ask him to define energy. There's not a single scientist that can define energy. Ask him to define what a field is. Do you know that quantum mechanics and quantum believes that a magnetic field is comprised of virtual photons, something for which has never been the input or output of any experiment ever done, has no basis in reality, is completely conceptual, and as so far as being substantive, it is absolutely empirically no different than talking about unicorns and leprechauns. It is a fantasy with absolutely no basis in reality. If aliens were to land tomorrow, they would know immediately that human beings are complete brain-dead dumbasses based upon the people that we have conferred as knowledge masters, i.e. PhD physicists of quantum mechanics and particle theory. Nature is not, or natura naturans, is not a crazy cross-eyed chick with a bag of magic particles that are bumping against one another. This is completely absurd. Instantaneous action at a distance and fields cannot be defined by particles. EPR especially cannot be defined by particles. Everything that you think that, and this has become a magic word, quantum. All you have to do is stick the word quantum before it. It's quantum interaction. It's like, what happened when you kissed your girlfriend yesterday? Well, we kissed and we both had a quantum interaction in the electrical neuroreceptor. All you have to do is just, what happens when you turn the microwave on? Well, there was a quantum interaction and the food was had a quantum. It's just a BS word that has nothing to do with anything. Quantum, by the way, connotatively and denotatively, does not refer to anything. Specifically, and of course it is the premise of all atomism, which is what current science is today. It's mathematics. It's not the quest for truth, because today's scientists don't believe in anything that cannot be quantified. What they want to do is quantify everything, because the one thing that pisses off mathematicians more than anything else is the inability to quantize something. Because if you can't quantize it, then you can't count it. You know, a field cannot be quantized. The Maxwellian field equations only define a field over a period of time with a known vector with a given result, whether that be joules, watts, seconds, amps. That never defines a field. These attribute reifications, such as space, as Tesla famously said, space has no properties. Space is not a thing. Neither is time. There's no such thing as warping space-time. Time is not a thing whatsoever. Time is only a measure of passing magnitudes. There is no such entity as time, but since human beings swim in a sea of time, i.e. passing magnitudes, we think that time is real, but time, of course, does not exist at all. Waves do not exist at all. These are not independent things of themselves. Look out there in the ocean. Look at those waves. Waves of what? Waves. Waves of what? Waves. Waves of what? Oh, you mean waves of water? Oh, you mean perturbations in the water? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so you're talking about water perturbation. Yeah, waves. There's no such thing as a wave. Scientists love to talk about waves of what? Energy. Okay, Mr. PhD scientist, define the term energy for me. Oh, you really want them to poop their diaper? Just ask a PhD physicist. I have PhD on the wall. Academia. Oh my God. PhD stands for piled high and deeper. Ask them to define what the term energy means. Waves, time, space, attribute reification, all these things that have no basis in reality. These are conceptual nonsenses. All of quantum, its very foundation, is literally built by their own admission, not my presupposition or conclusion, based upon their belief that they have a handle on what the hell light is. And they have no handle whatsoever on what light is. None whatsoever. All you have to do is ask any of them, so what is light? Well, it's photon particles or wave packets. It's a wave-particle duality. It's too complex for you to understand. This photon nonsense is purely conceptual. It has no basis in reality. You can never explain light with particles. It's absolutely impossible. You can never explain light changing speeds. It's not a speed at all. It's a rate of induction. And that rate of induction changes resultant to either capacitance, resistance, permeability, or permittivity. Light slows down through water and glass. All these different things. You should actually look up a neat little video called The Dissectable Capacitor. It's by Massachusetts Institute of Technology. People think that glass is an insulator. Well, something is never wholly an insulator. It's also a capacitor. Explaining glass as a capacitance is another subject for another video, but there's no such thing as a wave-particle duality. A wave is not a thing, light is not a particle, and there are no dualities in nature. A duality is what stupid, brain-dead, dumbass human beings assign to cosmic mechanics, of which thereof they have no comprehension thereto. There are no dualities in nature. An inherent mutually canceling contradiction, i.e. the denotation. Duality. Light is both a wave and a particle. Depends on if you look at it. This is the observer phenomena. Yeah, the observer paradox. Yeah, sure. Oh my God. Literally, if aliens landed tomorrow, they would judge us wholly by the people that we praise as having a grip on the nature of reality, which they don't. These are not truth seekers fundamentally. Even if they don't understand, it's okay not to know the answer to shit. But here's another fact. You never go looking for the answers to things you already think you know the answers to. If you think you know something, you will never seek an answer to that which you already believe you know the fucking answer to. That is actually a fault of metaphysics, physics, field theory, everything. If you're certain you know what the hell's going on subject A, B, or C, you will never, ever go looking for the answer to that very thing that you are absolutely certain, I know what's going on here, you know. That's an absolute fact, and that is exactly the foundation of quantum mechanics, is this understanding in their mind, and not in reality, that they think they know what the hell light is and what's going on. It's a wave-particle duality, you know. It's complicated. And the way they explain it, you know, to make themselves look intelligent, is they'll stick the word quantum in front of it. You just take any bullshit word and you just stick the word quantum in front of it. Look, this is not a real fireplace. This is a virtual fireplace. This is a quantum electromagnetic transmission. Everything is quantum. Quantum doesn't refer to anything. This completely meaningless word. I know what its root is and where it came from. I know the entire history of whence quantum manifests and how it dug in, and the resurgence of atomism, which was dismissed many thousands of years ago by the Greeks, There were Greek atomists, and the intelligent Greeks were like, these people are fucking idiots. It's the same thing. It's cult of bumping particles. COBP, cult of bumping particles. Mother Nature does not work with particles. Everything is fields. Ignorantly enough, of course, scientists are looking for a grand unified theory. Weak force, strong force, gravity, electromagnetism. There is no need to unify what is already unified. It is like an ignorant child trying to unify ice, water, and steam. You know, somewhere there's a link here. Yes, these are just different pressure modalities of the water molecule. Ice, water, and steam, you know, one is temperature related, the other one is pressure related. They're all one and the same thing, right? You know what the hell, you know, water is ice. Ice, water, and steam, you know, it's all the same stuff, right? There's no need to unify what's already unified. I mean, if Mother Nature was a persona, she would be, you know, scratching her head and holding her head in her hands at how stupid humans are. We're looking for a grand unified theory as something that is blatantly unified to anybody that has the wisdom or wherewithal to see what the hell's going on. Magnetism is a dielectric field. Gravity does not exist. It is point non-specific mutual mass acceleration. Electricity is 5 times psi equals Q in Planck of electrification, is a hybrid of dielectricity and magnetism. Everything is already unified and fully understood by anybody with the wisdom and the intellect to actually look into the answers of these fundamental questions that humanity has had. It should tell you that the center of gravity, there's no gravity. At the center of a magnetic field, which is not my opinion, it's a fact, there is no magnetism. This means that these are not things themselves. What they are is expressions of the loss of energy, or their pressure modalities, or energy loss modalities of something else. There's no such thing as gravity ultimately at all. Gravity is just merely a misunderstanding of the nature of magnetism. One is point source, and the other one is non-point source. There's no such thing as magnetic attraction. This is absolutely ridiculous. Magnetism is centrifugal divergence, is a toroidal force vector itself, i.e. the dielectric field and the loss of its energy or inertia. I mean, ultimately, everything is already unified if you have the wisdom and the wherewithal to see what the hell is going on. Explaining electricity away is easy. Explaining gravity away is incredibly easy. Explaining what magnetism is incredibly simple. You have a conjugate reality of nature, the hyperboloid and the toroid, which are the negative images of one another. The negative image of an hourglass shape, i.e. a hyperboloid, is a torus, or a donut shape. The negative image of a torus is the hyperboloid, or the hourglass shape. The conjugate superimposition of these two actually define force and motion, inertia and acceleration. Everything is capacitance, resistance, permeability, and permittivity. Everything is force and motion, inertia and acceleration. There are no straight lines in the universe. Everything is curvilinear. It is a pressure modality expression, i.e. the loss of energy or the reintegration of energy to itself in counter space, i.e. you say non-Cartesian. I actually like to think of it as anti-Cartesian, because anything that's Cartesian partakes of the loss of energy, i.e. magnetism. Humanity always has things upside down. We actually think the loss of energy is power, but it's just the opposite. It's actually the impotency of power. Humanity, of course, in its ignorance, will always take things upside down and backwards to what they are in reality. This is what the ancient Greeks had in their symbolism of the upside down tree. The tree, the metaphysical tree, referring to the universe, is also a representation of human understanding of cosmic mechanics. It's the inverted tree where the roots are up in the sky. Actually, the layers on that incredibly deep. You can make countless videos on that topic. I've actually written a nice article on that topic. It's about 15 pages long, but I digress. I hope you like these videos. If you do, I can go down the rabbit hole just endlessly. I could just talk till my lips fall off, but I don't know who's listening or who wants to listen. Some people like it, but this stuff is important. But this sort of stuff doesn't get you rich, and it doesn't, make you famous. But wisdom is its own reward, and that's what stupid people never realize. Wisdom is its own reward. Knowing this shit is not going to make you rich or powerful, any of that stuff, but none of that's important. Wisdom, however, is important. And I don't mean intelligence. I'm talking about wisdom. Okay? Intelligence is the fruit on the tree. Wisdom is the roots. It's the actual foundation. People don't understand that either. They always confuse intelligence with wisdom. Wisdom. When's the last time you heard somebody in the Western world use the word wisdom? Talk about an unused word. If anything is a representation of the degradation of society, that would be it. I hope you like these videos. If you do, Click the link below. Tell me how much you hate me. I hated this video. I hate you. Peace out, Girl Scout.